Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order, please. Doug, are there any public speakers?
Yes, sir. We have 5 public speakers today. First on the list would be Jason Pinero, followed by Bradley Brashears.
Good afternoon, committee. Good day for those who rely on subways and Long Island Railroad. That finally, after 3 years, the Freedom Ticket is being considered. I hope that you guys vote in favor of this. That will reduce commute from 2 hours to probably 45 minutes. I couldn't wait for this day to come. And that's all I have to say for this month.
Thank you for that. Next is Bradley Brashears, followed by Trudy Mason.
Good morning, board members. I'm Brad Brashears, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the New York City Transit Riders Council regarding the Atlantic Ticket Field Study, the pilot program to the Council's Freedom Ticket proposal. In 2015, the Transit Riders Council conducted an analysis to establish the number of empty Long Island Railroad seats within the city zone. We found over 10,000 empty seats between Atlantic Terminal and Southeast Queens stations during peak hours. These empty seats generate no MTA revenue and should be priced accordingly. The field study that you will vote on today will have an important and meaningful rider impact, not only by reducing fares, but also reducing extreme 2+ hour commutes down to just 45 minutes. We are talking about parents who have to leave home before their children wake. We are talking about healthcare workers, service industry workers, and those struggling to make ends meet. Our region has some of the longest commute times in the country. This Atlantic Ticket pilot is capable of substantially reducing many of these commutes. It does this by allowing Southeast Queens riders who are far from city subway service to afford taking their closest rail service, the Long Island Railroad, to the subway at a more affordable rate. Financially, Atlantic Ticket riders will transform empty, non-revenue producing seats in an underutilized corridor into income-producing seats. We have worked collaboratively with the MTA since the report's 2015 release and are eager for the pilot program's rollout. We would like to thank Chairman Loda, former Chairman Prendergast, Bob Ferran, Bill Wheeler, and Frederica Cuenca for seeing this proposal through to this vote. And we urge you, the board, to vote in favor of the Atlantic Ticket Field Study. Let's get these seats filled, generate the much-needed revenue, and provide fare and travel time relief for so many outer borough commuters. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Trudy Mason, next. Okay, then we have Murray Bowden.
It's nice to be able to stand here and say, wow, boy, has the MTA moved forward nicely. Freddie was surprised when the transit meeting ended so early today. I'm not surprised. It's a result of the efforts of a lot of people. But the most important thing, and pick one item, at the Long Island Railroad Committee meeting, they talked about the fact that all of their trains will shortly be equipped with GPS, which will be able to identify within 10 seconds where they are. They also said they had a working relationship with Waze. It's what I use to get around and tells me where to go. The combination of those two things will tell you where every train is all the time, and essentially there will be no dark areas on Long Island Railroad. All you have to do is say, make it happen. And all of the dark areas disappear. The added advantage is you can tell if anybody's on a track. Any abnormality is there because my car recognizes car in front of me slowing down. Mobileye works on trains too. They use it in Australia where that train runs by itself. So you've made enormous progress. Federal government has recognized that PTC currently is out of state. They've asked for new proposals. You've got it right here. You have the implementation of the next phase of PTC eliminating all dark areas, not only on Long Island Railroad, but north of Poughkeepsie. That's an enormous step forward. You're ahead of the rest of the...
Mr. Bowden, please conclude your remarks.
It's been a pleasure to be here. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I am retiring to the extent that I will not be actively involved. But too many people have asked me, please don't stop coming because you're saying things we can't say. It happened downstairs this morning when I got here early. Somebody came out, I had no idea who they were. Said, please continue to do what you're doing. So I'll do as little of it as I can.
Thank you. Charlton Zula.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Charlton D'Souza. I live in Queens Village, and I'm one of the people that's going to be impacted by your Freedom Ticket program. So I want to thank the board members. It's a very nice program. However, I work overnight. I work 2 jobs, and there's no trains out of Atlantic Center between 1:42 a.m. in the morning and 5 a.m. So it would be really nice if y'all could let us use the new ticket at Penn Station overnight. That would be a great help to us. Also, I'm concerned about the card stock of the ticket. I hope it's going to be a plastic Metro card. Otherwise, it's going to get stuck in the fare box machine. So that's something you guys want to consider. Also, y'all could have added service to Hunters Point Avenue during rush hours like y'all did in the summer. That was a wonderful thing. So I hope that y'all will consider Hunters Point, and you guys can do it today. You guys are the board members, so y'all can add an amendment or make a change. And also, we need another vending machine at the Queens Village station. I also spoke to the president of the railroad about this because sometimes the machine breaks down, so that creates a burden for people. And for the people that are not going to be using the new Freedom Ticket, I would suggest to the board members to please add some more Q60 bus service on Queens Boulevard, because it takes me like 3 hours to commute at night, and the trains break down. There's homeless people. I'm actually working on a bedbug bill right now up in Albany that would require the MTA to notify passengers.
Please conclude your remarks, sir.
Via the website if they find a bed bug. But I want to thank Andrew Albert for his hard work and the PAC. They did a wonderful job for us. Thank you so much. I hope you will consider this new program. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Trudy Mason here? She would be our last public speaker. No, so that concludes our public speakers today.
Thank you, Doug. Just for the record, I know that we got an early start, and there might be some speakers that thought we were going to start at 12:45. We'll make sure that whoever gets here, we'll either, if we're still meeting, we'll let them have a few minutes to speak, or we'll make sure that their comments get on the public record. So I'd like to move to get the approval for the April 23rd minutes. May I have a motion? Second? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Doug, can you take us to the work plan now, please?
Yeah, we have no changes to the work plan. Next on the agenda then is Budget Watch. This month's Budget Watch, we're going to focus on April preliminary operating results and subsidy cash results through May. We're going to start with operating results and passenger revenues, which once again were $15 million unfavorable in April, and that increased the unfavorable year-to-date variance to $56 million. Monthly and year-to-date results reflect the overall lower trend in subway and bus ridership. The year-to-date results include the system-wide impacts from several nor'easter storms in March, as well as the winter storm Grayson in January. Moving to toll revenue, we were favorable again by $5 million in April, and that increased the favorable year-to-date variance to $19 million. So that favorable offsets about a third of the passenger revenue shortfall for both the month and year-to-date. Moving to expenses, preliminary expenses in April were on target. Year-to-date results were slightly favorable, and that reflects vacancy-related savings, higher overhead credits, and lower insurance and retiree benefit costs. They were offset in part by higher overtime and maintenance costs, including those supporting the Subway Action Plan. It's important to note in that instance that the total cost of the SAP we expect to be covered by the funding that was included in the New York State 2018 to 2019 budget, and that would include some of the overages and overtime and other costs that we've experienced so far. Debt service costs were slightly unfavorable for April and year-to-date, reflecting a partial pre-funding of May 2018 debt service. Moving to subsidies. For the month of May, total subsidies were favorable by $15 million. There was a $25 million urban tax favorable variance, which more than offset an unfavorable timing variance for the payroll mobility tax and the continuing unfavorable trend in mortgage recording tax receipts. Total subsidies through May year-to-date were unfavorable by $53 million. However, included in that variance were unfavorable timing variances for MTA aid and the payroll mobility tax. Adjusting for those timing variances, we were either on target or slightly favorable for year-to-date subsidies. So overall, preliminary year-to-date results were unfavorable, but again, that was due to the above-mentioned timing issues. If we were to adjust year-to-date results for those timing issues, aggregate results would be on target or slightly favorable. So basically, we're doing at or about budget or above budget, better than budget. And we'll be looking at passenger revenue and mortgage recording tax. Those are areas that are not performing as well, and probably adjusting those numbers for the July financial plan. Any questions? Sure, Andrew.
The reimbursement we get from the counties for the rail rate stations, that do they all come in around the same time every year, or are they staggered?
They're billed at the same time. Whether they come in at the same time on the cash basis, they may not come in exactly at the same time, but we'll be reporting that we're good in that regard. Finance Watch, Pat McCoy's here. Great.
So very little to report. In Finance Watch this month, we had on April 24th, we bid out a 2.8 million gallon ULSD fuel hedge, and the winning bid was provided by a Macquarie Group, and the price there was just under $2.08 per gallon. That concludes Finance Watch.
Okay, moving to MTA HQ and all agency items. There's one action item, the Atlantic Ticket Field Study. And the staff summary on page 28 is requesting board approval to conduct the Atlantic Ticket Field Study. During this study, the MTA will lower the cost of travel on the Long Island Railroad to Atlantic Terminal from select New York City stations. The field study is designed to study the impacts of these lower railroad fares on customer travel choices, utilization of available capacity, and impacts on operations. Due to the lowered railroad fares and potential time savings and convenience, some New York City Transit customers may switch modes from subway and bus to the LIRR. Additionally, due to the introduction of a price differential between Penn Station and Atlantic Terminal, some existing LIRR customers may switch destinations. The field study may provide insight into travel dynamics and inform future planning and operations. We'd also like to acknowledge the work of the New York City Transit Riders Council that contributed to this field study.
Any questions? Do I have a motion? Second? All those in favor? Opposed?
Can I just thank everybody for sticking to this and putting this into effect? I think it's going to bring the MTA a lot of goodwill. It's going to bring riders a lot of new options, and I think it's going to fill empty seats with revenue, which we can certainly use. So thank you all for this.
You're welcome.
Okay. We have two report and information items. The first is to advise the board of the station maintenance billings for the period April 1, 2017 to March 31, 2018. That's detailed on pages 30 to 34. Billings a total $169.2 million, reflect a net increase in the CPI factor for the 12-month period ending March 31st, 2018. And that was 1.874%, which is resulting in a $3.1 million increase over the prior year's billed amounts. And that was for information-only purposes. And the next information item is the annual pension fund report. And Maggie Connor is here to present that.
Good afternoon. I'm normally accompanied here by Sean Crawford, our Chief Investment Officer, but unfortunately we've lost Sean Crawford to the Connecticut pension system. He left about 2 weeks ago. But please don't worry. I have a nationwide search to replace him. But I also want to remind you, we also have very, very talented investment managers handling both our DB plans and our DC plan. NEPC handles our DB plan, and Mercer handles our deferred comp tax favored programs. So I'm here glad to say a lot of good news. The plans did very well this year. The DB plans came in at 13.5 net of fees, and the OPEB came in at 8.6 net of fees. Our participation rate in the deferred comp increased as well. We grew almost, hey, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me start again. So this is the executive summary, and on this page it contains really the most important data. The funding level that's gone up. Thank you. Do you want to sit down and do this for me, please? The funding levels, the amount of money that's in the plans, and that's one thing I will light on. I know Bob wants me to go through this as quickly as possible, but I'm really proud that our funding levels are going up. Our DC plan, our deferred comp plan, is a very large plan with over 50,000 people participating. It's a very, very high participation rate, especially for government plans, with most people have a defined benefit pension with that. Okay, sorry. Again, this page illustrates how many participants we have in each of the plans, very, very high, and how much money we have in it. I'm sorry, my glasses aren't very good, so I'll have to read off of this. Currently, we have over 26,000 participating in our MTA DB plans, and we have 52,000 folks participating in our deferred comp plan. Our DB plans have $7.75 billion in it, and our deferred comp has $6.2 billion. I'd now like to go to the funding level. As you see here, the funding levels are going in the right way. They're going up. And I'd like to report on what it was last year as opposed to this year. Last year, the MTA DB plan was at 68.8%. It's now at 71.1%. Last year, the OA plan, the MAPSTOA plan, was at 67.3%. It is now up to 72.15%. And more good news on our Long Island Railroad plan. Last year it was at 46%, and now it's up to 50.8%. Yeah. So all good news. Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. I hope you do a better job for this.
Okay. Next, we have David Ross with procurements for both headquarters and all the agencies.
Thank you, Doug. For headquarters, there are 26 procurements for a total of $20,583,515.82. There are 2 non-competitive procurements. One is a miscellaneous procurement contract with Infinite Peripherals for the repair of onboard ticketing machines. The other is a modification to extend a personal services contract with Tioco Corporation for maintenance and support services for the Sonnet ATM. Their combined total is $8,253,647.
Any questions? Have a motion, please? Second? All those in favor? Any opposed?
There are 15 competitive procurement awards for personal services, 14 are for real estate appraisal services, and one is for an arts and design contract. We're additionally proposing to extend the competitively awarded personal services contract with Corvell for 1 year. The combined total cost of these actions is $9,215,000. I'd be remiss if I didn't share with you that the board approved a new contract with Corvell at the November meeting, but we have not executed that contract yet, and instead we are proposing to extend the contract we have with Corvell. The reason for that is there's a relationship between the Corvell contract that we got the board to approve in November and a PPO contract that has been approved with the union, and that agreement was reached after the solicitation for the Corvell contract. So because there's a relationship between those procurements, what we've decided to do is to extend the Corvell contract for 1 year so we can make sure that we harmonize the requirements of those two procurements.
Does anybody have any questions? You have a motion to approve? Second? All those in favor? Opposed?
Okay, so there are 8 procurement actions for ratification pursuant to Executive Order 168 and its extensions for a grand total of $3,114,868.82. The 8 items are from New York City Transit.
Any questions? Motion? Second? All those in favor? Opposed?
For Metro North Railroad, there's a modification to add $15.8 million to a contract with Bombardier Transportation for OEM replacement parts for railcar fleet.
Questions? Motion? Second? All those in favor?
Next is Long Island Railroad. There's a proposed modification adding $3.3 million to a contract with Harsco Rail for additional use of a track laying machine and tie rack car to support concrete tie replacement on the Port Jefferson Bridge.
Questions? Motion? Second? All those in favor? Opposed?
For New York City Transit and MTA bus operations, there's a request to approve $45.5 million for the purchase of 53 low-floor, 60-foot articulated diesel buses and related items.
Albert.
Yes. We've heard President Byford and Darrell Irick both say we're moving towards, an all-electric fleet. So when was the decision made to buy 53 more diesel buses? I mean, is it because the Arctic, the electric Arctics are not fully proven yet? Is that why we're doing that?
I see Steve Plachakis.
I do see him. Yep.
I'm sorry, just repeat that.
Yeah, we've heard both Andy and Darrell say that we're moving towards an all-electric fleet of buses, and I'm wondering when the decision was made to buy 53 more diesels. Is it because the electric Arctics are not proven yet?
Yeah, I mean, we're still in the process of testing them, although we're leaning in a little further and a little bit more aggressively in terms of when we buy the electric buses, but yes, they're not ready for this type of application at this point. But we are absolutely moving forward on the electric front.
Thank you.
Motion? Second? All those in favor? Opposed?
So there are 2 items for bridges and tunnels totaling $6.8 million. The first is a modification adding $4.3 million to a contract with Amon and Whitney and WSP, a joint venture for wind retrofits and structural repairs on the RFK Bridge. The second item is to add $2.5 million to a contract for Paul Scariano for demolition of occupied spaces beneath the Manhattan Plaza and the RFK Bridge.
Any questions? Motion? Second? All those in favor? Opposed?
Now back to Doug.
Thank you, David. Next is the overview of First Mutual Transportation Assurance Company's annual presentation to the board. The staff summary appears on page 58, and Phyllis Rachmeth is here to present it.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're here today for the annual presentation of First Mutual Transportation Assurance Company, or as we call it, FIMTAC, which is the MTA's insurance company. Information was provided for you before today's meeting. For those of you who don't know, FIMTAC is the first pure captive insurer that was licensed in New York State, and we place insurance programs on behalf of the MTA and the agencies. It gives us the opportunity to obtain broader coverage with better terms and conditions and increased control over our programs. FIMTAC's assets are in excess of $685 million, which support the various insurance programs throughout the agencies. We're going to focus today on the two major programs in FIMTAC, one being the excess liability program, and you have the schematic up there. The agencies all have self-insured retentions. Above that, FIMTAC insures $50 million of coverage, and above that, we get another $350 million through the insurance marketplace. As you can see, there are not too many insurers that are interested in or insure the transportation field, so we have a complete program. We had a good renewal. The program renews October 31st, and we were able to keep it to a minimum of 3% increase. And with things going on in the transportation field, we consider this to be a success. Our next big program is the property insurance program. We insure $800 million through FIMTAC, and we reinsure it. We're one of the largest insurers of property coverage in the world, and each agency is subject to a $25 million SIR if in the event of a loss. Now, just to give you an idea, we go to the traditional reinsurance markets and the capital markets. So on the left, it shows there are some of the traditional markets we go to, and on the right side, the capital markets now are interested in our program. We also have, through the capital markets, MetroCat. We did another bond last year for earthquake and surge. And the next page will show you, as compared to the excess liability program, you can see how complex placing the property program is. Left side will show you the limits and layers, and the right side will show all the different carriers that are on the program. We had a great year with the program. We had gone to the board to ask permission to do another cat bond, but through the efforts of our master broker and resiliency programs in place at the MTA, we placed a traditional program, and we were able to come in $300,000 lower than last year. And considering that the global insurance marketplace is up approximately 5% with all the hurricanes, wildfires, earthquakes, this really was a very successful placement on May 1st. We have the appendix at the end, which just has some information that was previously provided. I have representatives with me from our captive manager, Marsh, and from BlackRock, our investment manager, if there are any questions. Thank you.
Okay. The MTA consolidated financial and operational reports are on pages 60 to 113. And finally, David Florio is here with the real estate portion of the meeting.
There are 5 action items before you today. First is a license agreement with Shamak Kaleno for parking associated with their private school operation in Brooklyn. The next 2 are related. One is a license agreement with the owner of property at Metropolitan Avenue to support the parking of 137 buses when we shut down the L train line a year from now. And item C is a resolution for eminent domain proceedings should we be unsuccessful in securing that license agreement. For Long Island Railroad, we have 2 newsstand agreements, one in Central Islip with Shake & Sons, and the other in Freeport with Island News of Freeport.
All those in favor? Opposed?
the remainder are information items. I'm happy to answer any questions associated with it.
Are there any speakers out there that missed the beginning of the public speaking portion that want to speak now? None? Okay. Okay.
Good morning. I came on the number 6, which is always late and slow and whatever. So, but anyway, my name is Trudy Mason. I am a member of the New York City Transit Riders Council. I also used to work here a long time ago, where I was Director of Public Affairs and Government and Community Relations and ran these meetings. But anyway, I am here today to speak about what we call the Freedom Ticket, what you call the Atlantic Ticket Field Study. But it's been going on for many years, many years, I think since I was here. And then it became a project of the New York City Transit Riders Council, I believe about 15 years ago. I will say very briefly that you very rarely have something here especially that is a win-win proposition. It's a win for the MTA and New York City Transit. It is a win for the Long Island Railroad, and it is a win for all of our customers, all of our passengers. And basically what it does is to use underutilized commuter rail lines, especially those that go into Southeast Queens on the Long Island Railroad. And it also enables a transit desert to have public transportation on commuter rail lines. And by making a ticket that they can afford, it also puts more money in their pockets and puts more money in our pockets. I understand that you've already had some speakers on this, so I won't go into a lot of details, but just to say that representing our customers, representing the riders, and also the city of New York, I will just say that this is something that you should look on. And there was a former pilot program for the Freedom Ticket. This is a new pilot program just concentrating on Southeast Queens. I can suggest or even appeal to all of you to pass this and then let the pilot study become something that is permanent. It is something that we will all win. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn? I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Good afternoon. I'm Christopher Greif, also a member of the Transit Riders Council and also a member of Other Hats with American Disability Act. One thing I agree with Ms. Mason also, we need to support this strongly with the Freedom Ticket or the Atlantic Ticket. It is very important because our future seniors, disabled, and our future children need to get easy access from Brooklyn to Queens and South Jamaica, Queens as well. It is very important that our community needs to get easy access for accessibility. It is a concern because customers who want to go to Queens or who works in Brooklyn who does deal with people with disability. We have care workers and MSE workers and all people who works in different agencies, hospitals, and all places. It is another way of access to depressure down the E train, depressure down the J train. It will get easy access faster for people who want to get to a certain point from A to B. I ask all of you, and I know Andrew will vouch with me also, we need to do this. We need the Freedom Ticket as soon as possible and get the customers to get where they have to go an easy rate. And money goes to you, money goes to them, and ways of accessing transportation, including with the new MetroCard in the near future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I will try this one more time. Motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Thank you.